3 of the worst days of my life have happened within the past year. Each one involved my amazing wife being hurt. Hopefully, this is a space where I can share what happened and potentially find some empathy for our unique situation. I'll start at the beginning for some much-needed context. One of my clearest and happiest memories is of the day I first met my wife. I remember it was overcast and chilly outside, with the delightful scent of rain in the air. I was new to Seattle at the time, and as a result, didn't have any friends. So I decided to head over to a nearby mall and see what there was to do. After spending most of the day browsing through various stores and wondering about how I was going to manage city life, I decided to grab an ice cream cone. Yes, I know, ice cream on a cold day is weird, but it was pineapple-flavored ice cream, which is my absolute favorite. Funnily enough, my wife's favorite fruit is pineapple. What can I say? I'm a very lucky guy. Anyways, there I was eating my ice cream, watching people walk by, when I noticed her inside of a store across from me. I'm sure everyone has had that moment before when they see someone so beautiful they get all flustered and shy and start getting angry at themselves for not wearing their best outfit on that particular day. I was wearing this stupid t-shirt that had a cat doing kung fu on it, and my favorite pair of khakis. Yeah, that's what I was wearing when I met my wife. I still shudder to think about it. She, on the other hand, God, it still makes me get all hot beneath the collar to remember what she was wearing. She wore the hell out of those tiny denim shorts. I couldn't rip my eyes away from those long white legs even if I tried. And that rolled up flannel, please. It was a wrap. No wonder so many men surrounded her. But what pissed me off was how many of them were clearly there with their females. I got jealous pretty quick. And when I saw one of those pigs reach over and try to smack her on her ass, it took everything I had not to kill him. But I held back because I felt like she wouldn't be the kind of woman that would tolerate a guy with aggressive tendencies. So I waited like a gentleman. And when I saw her notice me and give me that little crooked smile, I knew it was permission for me to go over and introduce myself. We instantly hit it off. I cracked a few jokes, which she smiled at me in a way women tended not to, which gave me confidence to open up a bit prematurely and talk about politics. I think that's what sealed things between us because it turned out she shared the same beliefs. Up to that point, I didn't really believe in such a thing as a soulmate. But after talking to her as easily as I talked to myself, I became a true believer. When things flow, they flow, and you don't question it, you know? Things progressed really fast after that. I took her home that same night and we made love. We were so taken in with one another that we spent the entire next day together. And the next day, and the next, until I suggested she just stay. The very next week, we were married. It was amazing. Whereas before I spent most of my time alone in the apartment, my only real social interaction being at work or with whoever was delivering my food that day, I now was traveling around Washington, going on hikes or eating at new restaurants, or staying in and watching movies with my beloved. On the second weekend of the following month, the first worst day occurred. I brought my wife to my hometown in order to meet my parents. We were both feeling pretty anxious about it, but I promised my wife that they were good people. And despite being more on the conservative side, they did have some Hispanic friends, so I could count on them being open to new kinds of relationships. They never even let my wife step through the door. I was horrified. Then, my dad insulted my wife, and I nearly strangled him to death. Thankfully, my wife is a pacifist and was able to calm me down. Otherwise, my dad may have lost his life that day, and I would have gone to jail. Since then, I have not spoken to either of them, and that hurts. The second worst day happened at my job's Halloween party. At first, everyone treated my wife pretty well, and they complimented her pirate costume. I was so relieved to see that. Then, while I was using the restroom, my drunk-ass manager tried to pull off her top. My wife was so scared, she wasn't able to cry out for help. But she shouldn't have had to in the first place, because practically the entire office was watching. When I walked back in, I saw them laughing while my manager dishonored her. I wasted no time in tackling him to the floor and elbowing him in the face. That got me fired, but it was worth it. I love my wife, and I would fight a fucking bear for her. The final worst day happened last month. We were both feeling pretty down in the dumps, so we decided to catch a movie and then grab some pineapple ice cream afterwards. I blame myself for what happened next. We were walking through a park enjoying our ice cream when I noticed we were being followed. There were 3 guys, all in their early 20s, and they had the worst grins on their faces. They started whistling and calling out to us both, and I felt so much regret for allowing her to step out in that lace camisole. They began chasing us not long after. She was in heels, and I'm not athletic, so they quickly got their hands on us. I was forced to watch as they ripped the hair off of her head, stole her clothes, and broke those beautiful legs of hers in half. I screamed so much I lost my voice and coughed up blood. Yet, no one wanted to help. They just took one look at the damage done to my wife and must have judged she had no chance of survival. But my wife is tough. She gave me the strength to stand up and run her back to the apartment. While she regained her strength, I promised her that I would do whatever it took to get her feeling pretty again. She told me the first thing she wanted was hair. I looked at her shiny bald head and nodded in agreement. I asked her what kind she wanted, and she said her favorite was Indian hair. Not Indian as in from India. Indian as in Native American. So, I got it for her. She looked amazing with those long dark tresses. Even better than before. Next, she asked for bigger lips. That was harder to get. But after using the last of my money, I was able to have a custom pair made for her. This might be TMI, but I found some pretty good uses for those things. She continued to request more and more modifications to her body, and at that point, due to my lack of funds, I had to resort to stealing. But little by little I realized I was building the perfect woman. Every day she got prettier. Finally, she said she wanted her legs back. At that point, I started crying and said there was no way. I didn't know who those men were or where they had taken her legs. She understood that, but said there was a different way she could walk again. I followed her directions and brought the goat's legs on the following full moon. Then came last night. We were both laying in bed, staring at one another, like usual. Then the most amazing thing happened. She blinked. "Sakura?" I said. I sat up and rested my hand on her cold, plastic cheek. She turned and sat up from the bed using her new pair of legs. Her movements were very precise and calculated as she tested things out. I was shocked at how heavy her footsteps were. It sounded like one of those Clydesdales was walking in our bedroom. She stopped right next to me and held out her hand. "I need skin,"